Hi FlossTube friends, I'm Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on YouTube, also on Instagram and at our shop, coloradocrossstitcher.com. This is my video, my FlossTube, about my own personal stitching. Have a little bit of shop news at the end, but most of it is just about my own cross stitching. So it feels like I've been gone forever. I know. I think I recorded the end of June, and then I did the special recording with Tanya the end of July. And now all of a sudden it's the end of August. So I have a lot of things to show you today, some finishes, some starts, my 3 things, a new pattern for you, so and also a new idea that I saw on another FlossTube that I'm going to share with you. So let's just jump in and get started. So I finished, I know I say this about a lot of big pieces that I finish, maybe because I don't finish all that many big pieces, but this is truly one of my favorite pieces that I finished. So it is from the Crowns and Shields Blackbird Designs book. And it's this taken from this antique back here. And it's actually this piece here. I'm not going to finish it as a pillow, although I think that's really pretty. But I want it as a long, narrow framed piece because, as we've talked about before, when you have a wall of samplers or a wall of finishes, it's kind of fun to have different sizes and different shapes, and this is going to be a great way to showcase a different shape. So here is my finish. See, last time I had people tell me I was holding things up too far, so I'm going to try not to do that. And so all of those cartouches in the pattern, there were initials in there. So it's a great way to showcase your family, different family initials, grandparents, great-grandparents. But I decided, because you know, when I do samplers, I make a lot of samplers with my family names on it. So I decided to do the Fruit of the Spirit from the Bible. So all of those different cartouches have 1/1 stitching with the different Fruit of the Spirit, which worked out perfectly, except I had to put 2 in this one. But again, that worked out okay because that was a taller one. And I did this on 40 Count Eureka by Fox and Rabbit, and I did a silk conversion, which I did write down, so if anybody is interested in that, just email me. So anyway, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I did iron it. It is so hard to iron linen, isn't it? Thank goodness you have to really stretch it when you frame it or fill it full when you make a pillow, because it's just almost impossible to get all those wrinkles out. So that is one of my favorites because the colors are so pretty. It was really fun to stitch the different cartouches. And then as far as, I don't have all of these words in pattern form, but here's how I did it. I just used a piece of graph paper and just charted it. I made them all a certain height. I don't know if I wrote that down. Let me look. Let's see. No, I didn't write that down. I made them all 10 tall, and this is, remember, this is over 1, so they're all 10 tall. And then I just kind of used the same letters, alphabet. I don't know, I just kind of fudged that part. So I don't have those charted in a chart form to share, but if you'd like to see the silk conversion I did, it's a combination of MPIs and a Versoise. All right, so that's my first one. Just love it. And I'm hoping to have that framed soon, sooner rather than later. I forgot to show you my calendar. I'll show you that at the end of all of this. And then, let's see, the July camp cross-stitch camp project, I decided to do a heart and hand stitcher's mat from Scattered Seed Samplers. And the challenge was something that grows, and so there's a big flower right here in the middle that grows, and then I made it into a mat. So here's my finished piece. I did add some extras in there, so I added my initials and the word joy over here, just for a friend of mine. And then I added Stitch Every Day up here. I think I showed some of this to you. Oh no, I wouldn't have showed some of this to you. And then I put a magnet under this heart. I decided to do a felted wool heart here. The pattern has a big puffy heart there. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it more flat for the mat. So I just cut a heart and put the magnet under it so that I can have a magnet for my, kind of like a needle minder or to hold on to your scissors or whatever. And then I put 2 pockets here. These are really for the scissors, so 2 pockets here. And then my friend Sandy did the binding for me because I always mess up binding when I'm doing quilts. So Sandy, thank you again for doing my binding. And there you have it. So I decided I had to kind of figure, did I want to quilt this mat, but I didn't really want to go over the stitching when I was doing the quilting. So we just quilted, you can see on the back, we just quilted right around the piece itself. And I decided, you know, it's not going to get, basically I'm going to roll it up, take it to retreats or to stitch night or wherever I want to use it. And it's not going to get a lot of washing or a lot of things that would tumble up the batting in there. So we just kept it real simple. So that was a fun project to work on for camp in July. And then the next thing I got done was my August camp project. And if you were around me when I was stitching this, you know I called it the never-ending project. It's a lot of stitching. I didn't think it was going to be that big because the stitch count itself is not that big, but it ended up taking a lot of time. So I did this one on 40 count mushroom. No, that's not what I did. That was the Heart and Hand Stitcher's mat was on 40 count mushroom. I didn't write down what this one was. I think it is, it could be Cream and Sugar from Fiber on a Whim. I'm not sure. It's 40 count. This is my project. So August's challenge is stitch something or do something new to you. So I'd never made a full coverage piece like this, and I'd never done a CM Designs, which is this is. And gosh, when we got these in, they are so beautiful. In fact, at the end, when I do shop news, I have some more that we've gotten in that I want to show you. And so this is the piece. You'll see that there is, I don't know if you can see that or not, there's brown in the piece. And when I pulled the colors together, to me, the brown just stood out because all the other colors are so bright and pretty. So I decided not to replace the brown, but just to use other colors already in the piece in all of the brown spots, which is what I did. So here is my finish for that. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of blocking with it because it's full coverage. It kind of pulls in a little bit on the sides or a little bit wonky. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of blocking, but it was, I'm not going to say it was fun to stitch. It's kind of a relaxing stitch because you're doing the same squares and half triangles over and over. So that part was easy. And if you got yourself on a wrong color, it's easy to just pull out, you know, one little square diamond. The problem I had was keeping my place because I'm just gonna like show you a corner of this, but here, let me think. Like there's a lot of the same looking diamonds in there. So I was constantly counting, okay, I'm 3 over and 4 down, and what is that color? And I felt like I was all the time trying to figure out where I was. You know, when you're doing a regular pattern, you kind of build off of the thing you start first. So you do a, you know, motif in the middle, and then you count up and you do this one, and you always kind of know where you are. And in this one, I just felt like I was always counting. So what I decided to do, which really helped, so if you're gonna do one of these, and I hope you do, because they're really beautiful. what I did was on the chart, I took a little magnet, and if you don't have a little magnet, use the back of one of your needle minders. But I would put it right next to the diamond that I was doing. And I decided, because I originally started up in the corner and I was kind of stitching down like this, I decided it would be easier for me to just stitch across rows. And that turned out to be super helpful. So if you take a magnet and you put it on your chart and you just move it over one, you always know where you are and it goes a lot faster. And then for this particular one, I felt like if I got the main diamonds done, then it would be easier to go back in and fill in all the little half diamonds and all the in-betweens, if you can see that. So that helped a lot. And once I figured that out and started stitching that way, it went a lot faster. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish this. I don't know if I want to frame it or if I want to find a wooden box to put it on. I don't want to make it into a pillow. So I'll either frame it. It would be cute in a little frame, wouldn't it? Maybe I'll do that. So that was my August camp project. Speaking of camp, it has been so fun to see all of your camp projects, especially in August, because the August challenge is always try something new. And I love seeing people who are trying new designers, who are trying new fabrics, who are trying new counts, who are trying new threads. And I'm so proud of you guys for all of the ways that you have stretched yourself and gone outside of your box to try something new. And I hope whatever you tried that you loved it and it's a whole new path for your stitching, something else to add to your stitching box. It has been fun to see all of the hashtags on Instagram. We have over 4,000 hashtags, and I've really enjoyed going through all of them every day and checking, doing the little like so you know that I've seen it. And I will be glad not to have to check Instagram every day at the end of August, but I always enjoy it a lot. So, and so just before I show you another thing, just a brief word about cross stitch camp. Last year we did sampler camp in September. I think I'm just going to let that be a one and done thing instead of doing a sampler camp. A lot of people do sampler September. And there's a hashtag sampler September if you want to work on a sampler, whether it's large or small or continuing on a project you've already started. So I think we're going to keep cross stitch camp to summertime, and then we do a 1 month winter camp in February, which is always fun too. So I think that's how we're going to do it. I don't know. I might add something next year in the future. I have got a couple of ideas, but for now, we're going to wait and do camp again in February, and that's going to be fun because I've already got some things going for that. All right, let's get back to projects. So another project that I worked on was one of the projects that we got at summer school at the attic last weekend, which was so much fun, and I'm going to show a few projects from that. But one of the projects was from Tanya at the Scarlet House, and she did a beautiful sampler, which I'm anxious to do. And then also this little Mary's pin keep, which was nice to have something small to work on. Mostly I worked on my camp project, but I did want to just start this little pin cushion, and so I started and finished. This is on, I can't remember if it's 40 count or 36 count, Vintage Sand Dune by Lakeside Linens, which was really nice to have a Lakeside linen piece. And then she gave us this little tart pan to finish it in. So hopefully I'll have that finished by the next time. It was an easy little stitch, but the colors are beautiful, and those are all colors from the sampler that she did, which I can show you later. And then I worked a little bit on my 15 Friends, and this is a Cozy Egg design. You can get it at cozyegg.com. You can call the attic. I got mine at the attic in June when I went for Bristol. And the neat thing about this sampler, which I also mentioned the last time, is this stitcher stitched the initials of 15 of her friends into the sampler. And here's the antique on the back. And we saw the antique when we were there in June, and it was kind of it had faded to kind of a pinkish color. And so I did mine on with the pink. I think it's Cambridge pink in Tudor silk. Cambridge or Canterbury, something with a C. And so I just made a little progress. I think I just did a couple of lines, but this is on 46 Count Heritage by Needle Bling. It's a beautiful fabric. Oh, I was holding it too high. I see. So, well, my eyes have to kind of adjust to 46 count. I really want to start working on smaller fabrics. Not because smaller fabrics are better. You stitch on whatever you love to stitch on. I still stitch on Aida. Sometimes it depends on the project, but every time I'm at the attic, I'm just bowled over by how beautiful those tiny models are. They just look like little pieces of art. And so for me, I'm going to try and stitch smaller as I can. I originally started stitching smaller because I don't have a lot of wall space in our house. And then we moved to the shop that has all the wall space in the world. I will never fill all of that up. But I still love the look of the small stitching. So I'm going to work on that. Again, I ironed that. You can't even tell. And this is the one where I started it the wrong direction. Remember that? I told you that in my last video. So I had to do the run-in stitch down here to count down the number of stitches to make sure I had enough. Thank goodness I do 3-inch borders. Sometimes I think that's wasteful, and in this case I was really glad to do that. All right, and then we got these fun kits in, so I wanted to do one of these. Crinkle, sorry. And you get everything you need in these kits. And they are by Satsuma Street, which I've always thought her designs are so fun. So this is the one I picked to do. Now the thing about these is they're stitched on perforated paper like the Mill Hill kits, but not as many beads as the Mill Hill kits. So if you want to just try your hand at stitching on perforated paper and a little bit of beadwork, these are great. We got them in Halloween and Christmas, and I just ordered more that has shipped to us too, some new designs. So here is the little stitch. And it takes like an evening or 2 evenings at the most. So you can see there's beads around the eyes, and then there are a few sequins in there. She always also puts sequins in her kits, and that's fun to work on too. And then I took some of the leftover floss colors that I had and braided it into a little braid so that when I finish this, I can just hook that on there and have this as a little ornament. And on the back, I'm going to finish the back by cutting a piece of felted wool. And somebody told me, I think it was Kyle at our stitch night, that you can get felt that has a self-adhesive back. So you just cut it the size and shape of this and then stick it right on there. So I'm going to look into that. So that was a fun one to work on. And then the last thing I worked on was With Thy Hands by Teresa Kogut. And when this book came out, I am all about everything in this book. I've always loved the heart and hand symbol. And I think she did this as a retreat piece for somebody, because I remember seeing it last year thinking, oh, I can't wait till that comes out. So I started that, and what am I doing that on? 40 Count Baked Clay by Fox and Rabbit. So here is my progress on that. And look at that tree. Isn't that a really pretty tree? It's got, I'm gonna see if I can, it's got some really pretty pattern going on in there. And those flowers at the top, I just love the way the leaves curl and the stems go. She's such a gifted artist. We're so lucky to have her in our community because her pieces are just gorgeous. So that's what I worked on during the summer, I guess. I guess July and August. I feel like it's, like I said, been forever. So that's what I've worked on. And now let me show you my calendar. Let's see, I didn't show you July probably, so here's July, full up. Here's August so far. I thought it was funny because literally I've worked on that chameleon piece almost every day in August. And last year on my calendar I flipped through and this whole section was filled up. This is where I put my starts, and I notate what the fabric is and all that. So last year, I think I filled all that up, and I was going across the bottom because I had so many starts in August. This time I have one. Well, really, I have a couple because I have that little pin cushion that I made. But, you know, for the most part, all I did was work on that August project. So next time I'm not going to pick such a big August project, or July or June. All right, I want to talk about the traveling stitch case. So I hope you watched the video that I did with Tanya from the Scarlet House in July. She is the first one. I know she's not the first one to make a travel stitch case, but she is the first one I really noticed on Instagram, seeing her stitch case and thinking, oh, that is so cool. I want to make one of those. So I made one, which I FlossTubed. I think the last time I did a FlossTube, maybe I shared that, or maybe it was the May one. I can't remember. And it was a small square one, and I loved that. But I just felt like, boy, that is a lot of work. And then after I saw Tanya's and she showed us how she did it, I thought, well, that's not that much work. And so I made another one. I got one of the cases that she had used, which are now sold out. I love the inside of the case. I don't like the outside of the case. And I'm going to show you that and tell you why. But first, let me show you the inside that I did. So this is the inside. And then I'll tell you what all of those things are. So here's the top, and then what's inside. So you can see, and you'll have seen this in the video with Tanya, I put a little rickrack here, which I just glued on, and I used Aleene's tacky glue because I use that for everything. And then you just take these pieces out and cover them, glue the fabric on, and you cut yourself a piece of mat board for the bottom and cover that with batting and fabric. And that's it. And then you have the fun of just adding fun stuff in there. So what do I have in here? So I have a couple of hoops that I honestly just don't use because they're a little, well, I did use this one for that pin cushion at the retreat. So I did use that. This one, can you imagine? Like, this must have been a little hoop for embroidering your initials on sheets or linens or whatever they did back in the day. I love the size of that. So those go in the middle. Oops, those go in the middle there. I also have a book that I'm going to put ephemera memorabilia on, like Tanya did. She gave me this book. It's a perfect size to fit in here. And then another thing she gave me is this. Now these are really cool. So very simple to make, and if you have charm packs, you just take 2 charms and you sandwich a little bit of batting in the middle, you sew right around the edge, and then use pinking shears to cut right down here, and then you put snaps on the corners. See how the snaps are? And then it stores flat, which is great, but if you're going to stitch night or a retreat or whatever, stitching with friends, you snap this up and it makes a little ORT container. What is ORT? Old Raggedy Threads, O-R-T. And so ORTs are when you've stitched and you have a little bit of leftover thread that you cut off and you're on to the next piece. Instead of just having a trail over the top of your table, you can put them in something like this. So when you're stitching with friends, this is a good way to take one with you that travels flat. So here's a tip, how to make those. And then what else do I have in here? I have, my whole theme was kind of red because the travel case is red. So I have my red Kohana scissors, which are my very favorite scissors. If you have not tried Kohanas, if you're at a retreat and somebody has some, just pick them up and snip a little bit. They are the best scissors. And I have Gingers, and I have Seiju scissors, and I have Dovo scissors. I have all the scissors because I like scissors, but the Kohanas are my best, favorite ones. Then I have a little tin of a waxer, even though I don't use a waxer. I like having waxers, in case. I mean, if I was doing something that was a little knotted or twisted, I'd probably use the waxer. So it's just a good thing to have in here. And I have these little dots. Okay, I stitched so much in August trying to get that piece finished that I wore a hole in the tip of my finger, literally wore a hole in there. And you know when you get that hole and you're stitching and all of a sudden the end of your needle finds that hole again? Boy, that zings. So these are little dots, little thimble dots that you can put on the tip of your finger so that needle doesn't dig into your end of your finger. There's some that are flatter. These are kind of a not rubber, plastic, some kind of plastic self-adhesive, and they're reusable because the adhesive stays for quite a while, but I honestly like the flatter ones a little bit better. I just couldn't find them before I went to the retreat. So I have those in there. I just have a little heart that I made that I've showed you guys before. I don't know, it was stitched over one on something, so I have that in there because it's red. I have my red glasses in here. I have the little unstitcher. That's a really great tool if you are undoing, which we all do sometimes, undoing your stitching. And I have a little mascara wand. I think it was Amy that brought these to our stitch night one night, a bunch of them, gave them to all of us. And this is for if you have a seam ripper and you kind of cut your stitches because you're ripping out a section, then you can take this and brush it over the top of where you did that, and it pulls all of those miscellaneous fibers out, so you have a clean workspace again. Then I have this little ruler that I use some of those Tim Holtz Instant Relatives. I put those across there and used Mod Podge. Mod Podge is just like, it's a little shellac, but it's like a glue too. So anytime you're wanting to do something on, I think a lot of surfaces it works on, it works great and it dries pretty quick. So that's my little ruler. I have a needle case that has extra needles in it. I have a little pin cushion that came in a set from Kohana. And then up at the top, this stuff just makes me smile. So the needles, let's see, the needle packs over here are from my Grandma Bass's sewing kit. And so I pulled a few of those together, and I love having just a part of her sewing kit in my travel case. And then this clothespin was in my Grandma Truax's sewing basket, not with the heart on it. I Mod Podged the little heart on it, but so I have that from her sewing basket. And then I found this old photo at the antique store, and I thought that must have been a pretty special bear to warrant a photo back when photos were expensive to do. And I put a couple more of Instant Relatives from Tim Holtz. I just added some buttons. This was from a little scrapbooking pack. Then I tucked a couple of pins here, a couple of counting pins on either side, and the Beauvais Art needle minders. And the reason I liked those, well, first of all, because that polka dot matched my polka dots, but also because it's super strong magnets, and I knew with this gathered material I wanted something really strong, so put those on there. So I love this little box. I meant to bring those other ones up. I ordered 2 more boxes, not this size, they're out of this size, but I will add those to the show notes if I think about it. I also linked to these other boxes in the video with Tanya because I knew that these were going to run out, and so I ordered 2 more, one a green for Christmas and one a black for Halloween, because I really want to do 2 themed boxes like this. The rest of the year I'll use this one, but I just thought it would be fun. Really, it's because when I was looking through my fabrics, I came across really cute Halloween fabric and really cute Christmas fabric that I thought, oh, those would be fun to use. So that's why I'm doing those kits. Now, so I love the inside. What I don't like, and this is advertised as a travel jewelry case, so you would think that you could travel with it without undue damage. And I hand carried this to the attic when I went this past weekend. Hand carried meaning I have my tote bag and I put it in the tote bag. I didn't pack it in my luggage. I didn't want to have it get lost. And the edges started coming off. Can you see that? I am not happy about that. Now granted, it was $27, so it's not like it's a leather case at all. It's not like it's an expensive non-leather case, but I just thought if you're going to advertise and have a travel case, make it so that you can travel with it without damage. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do about it. You know, I could take a red Sharpie, but I think that would look a little tacky. I don't know. I also thought maybe I'll go and find like the really narrow 1/8 inch ribbon and maybe use the Aliens tacky glue to glue just that narrow piece of ribbon all around the edges. Like I don't want to redo this. I love how it turned out on the inside, so I really want to find a solution. And I'm thinking if I use the Aliens tacky glue, it dries clear. It's what I glue all my trims on when I do pillows. It dries clear, and I just think that would help seal it. Yes, I'm gluing it to the stuff that's peeling up, but I think if I use that glue and just seal it all the way around, and I'm hoping it'll look okay. You know, that's the only thing. Is that going to look kind of tacky to have that ribbon? But it looks tacky to have this going on. So that's just this happened. I wanted you to know that because I know some of you bought these cases before they sold out, and I just wanted you to know to beware that might happen. Now, when I was at the attic, there was a gal there who, she did the cutest, she did a piece for her top, which I think is also a really neat idea, and I would love to do that. But she made a case, like a slip case for her case to travel in, and that was a great idea. So I think I'm going to experiment with how to get rid of the edge, and I'll show you on my next video if that worked, how to seal the edge up, and then I will figure out a piece to put on the top. And she did it so that it was upside down to her when she opens it up, but then when she has it open, it's right side up to the people across the table, which is kind of cool. And I think she did the Teresa Kogut, it's not Stitchy Bird, it's one that I have kitted up. Anyway, it turned out really cute. So her case was a little smaller than this one, so maybe that means I can do like a Halloween and a Christmas stitch for the top of those. These cases are a little addictive. They're so fun. All right, let's see. What else are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about, the retreat that I went to at the attic. And I just want to say, if you can get yourself to a retreat, I think it's a really good thing for you to do. It's good for your soul. It is good to be around. I heard so many people say, these are my people. And you know what? There are not a lot of cross stitchers in the world that you come across day to day necessarily. At a retreat, it's all people who love what you love. And you know how much I love the retreats at the attic. Jean and Carolyn just do an amazing job at these retreats. The food is wonderful. The projects are wonderful. The time together is wonderful. So I encourage you to go to a retreat. There are a lot of shops that have retreats. People have asked me if I'm going to do a retreat, and I don't have any plans to do a retreat. And I'm just going to be honest. When I had the yarn shop, the Loopy U, I did big retreats, and I know how much work they are. And I'm just past that. I don't want to do that. I would love to have all of you guys come in and meet all of you. That would be the best part of the retreat. But I'm not in that mode to be doing that right now. I will never say never, but I will say probably never. But get yourself to a retreat. Or if you can't afford to go to a retreat, because there are expenses involved in them, they're not cheap. I will say I don't know how these shop owners do it for the prices they charge, because in my opinion, and having done retreats and knowing how much hotel food is, I don't know how they do it for the price that they charge. It should be a lot more expensive than that. I'm glad it's not, but you definitely get every bit of value for the amount of money you pay to go to a retreat. But if you can't afford to go to a retreat, get some of your favorite stitchy friends together and have your own day retreat. You know, you can go to a lot of libraries, have meeting rooms that you can reserve for the day and make your own retreat and have fun that way. It's just good to, I think, get away from everything and be around people who love stitching like you do. So whether you make your own retreat or you go to a retreat, I really encourage you to do that. Now I will say, it was hot. It was hot, hot, hot in Phoenix when we were there. It was hot. I think it was 100, well, I think it was 117 degrees. I thought it was 117, but we were over at Tanya's house and she said her car said 127. It felt more like 127. Yes, it's a dry heat, but it doesn't really matter once you get over 100, 110. It's just hot. So we got back to the hotel and I moved the chair from my hotel room right in front of the air conditioner. I just sat there and tried to cool off. It was hot. Have I told you it was hot? It was hot. Luckily, most of the retreat you're in the hotel, and the hotel is very cool. In fact, you might need a sweater in the meeting room, and everything's lovely in there. But if you go outside, it's hot. So it was a fun retreat. I have a couple things to show you. First of all, we got a bag from Barry at Stitch Folk, and this was the logo for the retreat, which was an old Reward of Merit card that Vicki and Megan from Needlework Press rejiggered to have it be a summer school. So that was fun to get that. I'm not going to show you all the things, but there were a couple things I wanted to show you. So this was the sampler that we got from Tanya, and the colors are so pretty in that. I'm really anxious to do that. Anxious. I was thinking about the word anxious the other day because I said that in something and I thought, well, I'm not worried anxious to do it. I'm looking forward to, excited about. I got to replace that in my vocabulary, I think. So this is beautiful. And then it came on this thread keep, which I thought was so cute. But you can see the colors are just, let me see if I can wind up the colors for you. They're the colors of that pink keep I did, but just so pretty. Isn't that a pretty palette? Not my normal colors, but I really like how they stitched up. I think I've buried that pincushion. So I will be doing that. The other thing I like about this is it doesn't have a border, so it's going to be a little quicker stitch. And one of the pieces, Scarlet Berries, that she did last year at summer school is now out. That was a market release. And I started that one immediately last year at summer school when we got it because it's so pretty. Have I finished it? No, I have not. So I need to get back to that. And then Needle Made Designs has this pattern. And then she also gave us a pattern for this pin drum. And I think she gave us this piece too. So I will make that. I can't decide if I want to make the pin drum or the sampler. I can't imagine really doing both because the pin drum is basically this. I don't think I want to stitch twice, but it's a beautiful sampler. This was the sampler from Needlework Press. That big bird. It's kind of fun, huh? A lot of colors going on in that bird. And another thing we got from 5 Times Blessed, Nancy, is she gave us these big journals, just blank inside, to keep all of your stitchy information, memorabilia, like when you go to a retreat or you go to a stitch night, keeping all your friends' contact info or their Instagrams or whatever. And then she gave us this pattern to stitch on perforated paper to then attach to the top of the journal, which was a really interesting idea. So I started it. Now it got a little bent in my luggage. I'm gonna have to, I don't know, can you iron perforated paper? I'm gonna have to figure something out. So I gave it a start, little start, stems, because we went, our flight was canceled on the way home on Sunday because of the hurricane coming to the West Coast. I guess our plane was coming from there. So we ended up having like 5 hours in the airport, and I can't stitch without a magnifier. And this is 14 count perforated paper. So this was a perfect project to work on when I didn't have my little magnifier lamp. And then this was also interesting, and I highly recommend this. She gave us this piece of folded cardboard, like a 3x5 card. And she said when you're stitching to put that on your edge to hold onto it. Even if you have the cleanest hands, and I know we all wash our hands before we sit down to our stitching, we don't eat while we stitch, you know, over time the oils in your hand still can leave a mark on your fabric, or in this case the perforated paper. So I thought this was a really good tip to put that on and hold it. Of course, you don't need you wouldn't put this in a hoop. I think Kim, the Contented Needleworker, attached fabric around her edges so she could put her paper on a scroll frame. But I have found this stiff enough that I don't need to do that necessarily. So I don't have a hoop to hold on to, and usually when I use my hoop, I flip the fabric over and put my hand on that so my hand's not coming into contact with the top of my piece. So this is a good solution for when you're doing a larger piece like this. And I've never done a large piece of perforated paper. And then we'll cut it down to fit the top of this. And she gave us some kind of tape to put that down with. And when I get to the point of finishing that, I will let you know what that tape is. But it made me think, you know, we really could, I mean, the cover of our calendars are always pretty, but we really could stitch a piece of perforated paper design and put it on the front of our calendars each year. That would be kind of pretty too. So made me start thinking about different things that you could do with perforated paper. And I saw some people who had the stitching travel cases at the retreat last weekend had just done a little perforated piece with their name on it that they tucked in there, or a little couple of motifs and tucked it in there. And that was a really cute little thing to add to it too. So then the last thing I want to show you from the retreat came from my friend Kathy, and she had this really fun design or idea. So she collects and has everybody she knows collect these gum cases. So you can get, I know 5 gum comes in it. I don't know other gums that come in it, but it's a gum case. And then when it's empty, she takes them, she puts this beautiful William Morris paper in there, probably scrapbook paper, I don't know. And then she put a scissor in there. I love this scissor. And a pack of needles and her card. But isn't that a really nice little case to tuck in your project bag or whatever? Holds your needles, holds a whole pack of needles, holds your scissors, and anything else. It would hold a little needle minder, but made pretty with that paper and then, you know, sealed up. So I thought that was a great idea. All right, let's talk about the stitching idea I wanted to share with you. So this, I was watching Gigi, the artsy housewife, and if you haven't checked her, I think she only has 3 or 4, maybe just 3 FlossTubes, but I love watching her. And I love her patterns. I'm going to show you some of her new patterns when we get to the shop part. But I was watching her, and she is doing a goal progress sampler. I don't remember if she called it that. Those are my words. Might have been her words too, but basically, she picked a piece, and they have some financial goals that they're working on. And each time she hits a different goal, you know, in the steps, a different step going to the goal, each time she hits a different step, she stitches a motif. So the sampler is a visual representation of her and her family working towards this goal. And I thought, well, you could do that with a lot of things. You could do you know, if you're wanting to pay off a bill or pay off bills or pay off whatever, pay off your house, you could do a sampler for that. You could do, if you're saving, you have a savings goal that you want to hit, you could do that. I think samplers are really great because they have so many different motifs that lend themselves to the steps. But you could, if you have exercise or fitness goals, each time you hit a certain step, you could do, you know, stitch a motif. If you are going on a vacation that you want to save for, you could do a step progress for that. You could even do, now this is kind of counterproductive, but I was thinking if you have like 12 whips you want to finish, you could do a sampler progress, a progress sampler. What are we going to call that? Goal progress sampler. A goal progress sampler, like I said in the beginning, you could do one for your whips. So let's say you have 12 whips you want to finish, you pick a sampler with 12 motifs, and every time you finish a whip, you finish a motif. And so then you've got the 12 things done, but you have a 13th bonus piece that celebrates all of those whips finished. Whip, work in progress. Sometimes I forget to explain what those initials are, and I know there are new people all the time coming to FlossTube who don't have any idea what that means. So a whip is a work in progress, and back in the day, back when I learned to cross stitch in the 80s, you would pick one piece, and you would pick your fabric, and you would pick your floss, and you would stitch the piece till it was done, and then you would go to the cross stitch store and pick your next piece. Well, that's all out the window. Nowadays, you know, we have stashes of fabric, which we need because we have to change fabrics from the called for a lot. Maybe we want to do it in a different size, or maybe we want a different background, so it's important to have a fabric stash. We have a stash of threads because each time we do a project, you know, we have some left over, so we have those, and we certainly have stashes of patterns because we've learned sometimes patterns go out of print, and then you're looking at $150, $200 on Etsy, and nobody needs to pay that for a pattern. So we do have stashes now, and with the stashes comes whips for a lot of people. I know some people still work on one project at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly great. But a lot of times if you're buying a new pattern, you just want to get a little bit of a start on it. And if you're like me, I don't like starting projects. I like picking a project up and being able to immediately jump in. So the starting part isn't my favorite part. So I have works in progress that I've started, different levels of start. Some maybe have a corner, some have half of it done, and I can always jump into that. So getting 12 or however many finished using a goal progress sampler, probably not a bad idea for me. All right, so that was the fun stitching idea. And if you decide to do it, let me know what you're gonna track on yours, because I just think it's a great idea. And again, that was the original idea from Gigi at the Artsy Housewife. Okay, let's talk about 3 things. So my latest thing that I love so much, and not really latest because I've used it since April, is a tumbler with all your favorite stickers on it. So we have a lot of these stickers at the shop. Of course, all the cross-stitch ones and the Colorado one. This is from a coffee shop that I went to in April. This is from my friend Susan. So I just got this tumbler, and I'm going to link to tumblers like this below off of Amazon, because you want one that is a smooth finish. Now, I also brought this one, which is a swell, which I take my coffee to work in, but it has kind of it's not a smooth finish. And when I tried to put a sticker on there, it just won't stick because it's kind of got a different kind of a coating. So you want the kind of tumbler that has a smooth, and it could be glass. Glass works well. But I wanted to tell you about this because all of the big stickers that we have in our shop, and most of the big stickers that you see at shops, you know, out and about, because stickers are really popular right now, have a vinyl coating. And some of them don't go as far as saying they're waterproof, but they say they're water resistant. And so I've used this almost every day and had it since April. And what I don't do is I never submerge it in water. I wash it, and these can get wet, but I don't submerge it. So when I wash it, I just take the top off, wash the inside, wash the top and everything, and then rinse it off. And these stickers have stayed perfect on there. There's no peeling up of edges. There's no deterioration of color or anything. So make yourself a stitching tumbler. So that's number 1. I also wanted to show you this stitching tumbler that I got from Barry at Stitch Folk, and you can personalize it. So I had my Instagram shop name put on the bottom. If you're getting things from Barry, Barry has a lot of beautiful designs, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all different colors, all different designs. Make sure you go to her Etsy site and make sure it says Stitch Folk, because she has had some people rip off her designs already, and she put so much work into them. Make sure you're buying them from her. All right, number 2 for my 3 things this time is chocolate covered espresso beans. This is my latest love, and I get mine from nuts.com, which is, I've talked about nuts.com before, and I think I heard about nuts from Teresa Kogan, but I have sent so many gifts to people just for birthdays, anniversaries, whatever, from nuts, because they have the best dried fruit. If you're ordering from them, try the dried pears and the dried peaches. They're amazing. But also the chocolate covered espresso beans. I get the dark chocolate ones. They also have milk chocolate ones. But if I can't drink caffeine because it bothers my stomach, but I can have these coffee beans. So in the afternoon, if I'm feeling a little bit tired, I'll have like 5 or 6 of these coffee beans, and it's just enough of a kick, and they're delicious. So if you like chocolate covered coffee beans, I have a friend, my friend Lisa, who when she discovered, this was years ago, but she discovered chocolate covered coffee beans, and she just kept eating them all afternoon. She just loved them. She thought they were the best thing, and she was wired all night long, could not sleep. So they do have caffeine. Be a little careful of that. But like I said, 5 or 6 doesn't affect my sleep at night. And then the third one is an Instagram account for you to check out, and I will link to it below. And when I say I'm going to link to things below the video that you're watching is a little blurb that says FlossTube number 43, thanks for joining me today, and then a little word that says more. If you click on the word that says more, it expands, and all of the links and all of the show notes are in there. So anything that I've talked about, like these things, will be linked in there. So the link to follow for the Instagram account is I am Shane Burke. And Shane is an artist. He draws, but the thing about his account is you can sit and watch him draw something and think, oh, I could do that. So his whole goal is to show you how easy it is to draw. I think he's working on a drawing course, but mostly he just does these little short videos of, you make this shape and this shape and this, a little shading here and here, and you've got a cat or whatever it is he's drawing. So I've always wanted to be a drawer. I do not have that skill at all, but I've always thought it would be so cool to be able to draw things like that. So it's just fun to watch him. So I encourage you to check that out. Okay, let's talk about the winner of the project bag from way last end of June. And I wanted you to use the word animals because it's this beautiful bag from Deborah at Joyful Stitching Store on Etsy. I'll link to that below. So I had you use the word animals, and Martha Dewald is the winner of this one. So Martha, if you can get in touch with me, my email address is in the notes below. I will get that shipped off to you. And this one, so Deborah had sent 2 of these, so we have already done a drawing for this one time, but guess what? We get another one. And I love this because for some reason, like bees and sunflowers for sure make me think of fall, but bees make me think of fall too, even though they're summer honey makers. But this is the gnomes tending to their bees, and of course it comes with a little accessory pouch and a couple of flosses that coordinate. And so our word is going to be summer. Summer, as in summer's almost over. When we're waking up in the mornings, I can just feel a little, I don't know what it is. It feels like fall in the mornings now. And not just the temperature, but there's something else that just feels fallish in the air. So we're going to use the word summer as a goodbye to summer. So if you're interested in this beautiful project bag from Deborah, leave a comment with the word summer in it, and I will use the random picker to pick a winner next time. Last time the question of the day was, and this was so interesting, the question was, what is one thing that you enjoy about your town in the summertime? And gosh, I felt like I wanted to visit a lot of your towns because it was so fun to read what's special about your town or some of the events or things that go on. And so if you're looking for vacation spots, you might want to look at the comments from last time. Okay, question for this time is, what is your stitching plan for September? Are you going to be doing sampler September? Are you going to be doing smalls September? Are you going to be stitching fall things? Are you already into your Christmas stitching? Are you not even thinking about September yet? What is your plan for September stitching? For me, I want to go back, and I think if you remember my FlossTube from last May, Stitch Mania, what I did for Stitch Mania was each week, for 3 weeks, I started 3 new samplers that I've been wanting to start for a long time. And I want to go back to those and put time in on all of those. And then I have some smalls too that I want to work on. So that's my plan for September. All right, now I have a new pattern that I designed, and this came about because I designed a berry, first time I'd ever made a berry. And if you don't know how to make a berry, watch Vanna the Twisted Stitcher, because I watched her video and that's all I needed to do. She's so thorough in her instructional videos like that. So I wanted to design a berry to stitch for some special friends of mine. And once it got done, I just loved it so much. I thought, oh well, we all need to be doing this. So this was the original berry that I stitched, and it's called Sisterhood of the Needle. And I stitched this on Cream Lugana 1/1. I mean, is that just the cutest little thing? So after I did it, I thought, well, you know, we're all sisters of the needle. We need to be stitching that. Brothers of the Needle, I included Brotherhood of the Needle, I included Fellowship of the Needle. So the new pattern, oh, I should have taken it out. It's glary. I'll show you the cover. The new pattern is Sisterhood of the Needle. And if you follow me on Instagram or you're on our email list, you've seen that. So it started with the strawberry, and then I did the long lineup of stitchers, and then I did pillows, thinking somebody might not want to do a strawberry, but the little pillows. And I have 4 different phrase options for below the long lineup of stitchers. So the one I did on there, I can't remember what I did. Stitching friends are the best. So if you have a group of stitching friends, that would be a fun one to make. But I also did Sisterhood of the Needle, and I think I did my stitching friends or enablers. Anyway, I took one of the sayings and just made a long skinny pillow too, because I thought that was fun. So I have all those to show you. So I did mine on a 25 count. I included templates for the 25 count if you want to do over 1, but I also have it in the 36 count because I think a lot of you would probably prefer not to stitch over 1. And my friend Sandy stitched this model for me. She did a beautiful job, because by the time I got to this one, I had stitched this 7 times, I think it was. So I was done. So she made that. So that's the size difference of over 1 on 25 and over 2 on 36. Both cute. Have little toppers. I put a little charm, a needle and a scissor charm on the back of the little one. Here is the Stitching Friends Are the Best piece, and I just did a little bit of twine, Baker's Twine trim, which is one of my favorite finishes. Because it doesn't take away from the design, it kind of frames it a little bit and it covers up your seams. And again, you can personalize, there's different hairstyles, there's different clothing styles. I did this one, because we have to have a pants person, and that one is Fellowship of the Needle. And then this one is Sisterhood of the Needle in pillow form. And then the cute little skinny. Again, trimmed in Baker's Twine. I put a little bow on the end. And this Baker's Twine, I stitched these on, what did I stitch these on? Light Mocha Mushroom. Used to be called Mushroom, now it's called Light Mocha, just the plain classics fabric. And And I tea dyed this baker's twine because the red and white on its own is a little bit bright for this fabric. So just remember, you can tea dye all of your trims if you want to help them match some of the more antiqued looks of fabrics. So that is now available in our shop. And while I'm talking about the Sisterhood of the Needle, I just want to give a shout out to all the spouses who watch FlossTube with their stitchers. When I met Jean's husband at the attic, he says, "Don't I recognize you from FlossTube?" And it just reminded me of all the times when stitchers come into our shop, whether it's a guy stitcher with his wife or a gal stitcher with her husband or a combination, whatever, and the one stitcher watches FlossTube and the support person also watches FlossTube. Maybe not as much, but I just want to give a shout out to all you supportive spouses and partners who just encourage your stitcher and watch FlossTube once in a while. My husband watches FlossTube with me once in a while, and he'll say, "Is it a Brenda and Laura Sunday?" Because, every other Sunday, Brenda and Laura Sunday. Or he'll say, "Are we watching the Two Tarts?" Two Tarts are Jean and Carolyn from the attic. And I asked him today what other FlossTubers he remembers, and he said, "Oh, the Salt Box one." I said, "Do you remember her name?" He's like, "Carolyn?" Well, that's close. Carol the Salt Box Stitcher. And I remember when I discovered Vanna and I was binge watching all of Vanna's, he watched a lot of those with me too. So it's just nice to have somebody who supports your hobbies and encourages you in what you love to do. So shout out to all of you support people. All right, now I'm just going to show you a few things from the shop and then we're going to be done. First of all, I'm going to show you this because there was a lady in the shop yesterday, Lori from California, and she said, "You need to show people this because it's really cute stitched up." And since it's, the season, see if I can do that without glare. This is Three Witches by Barbara Anna, and she said she made it and labeled each one for one of her 3 friends, and they thought it was adorable. And she said it's really cute stitched up, so I'm passing that on, Lori. Told everybody how fun it is. All right, and then we have just a few new things that I'm going to show you. This is the new book, Between Friends. This is Hands-On Design and Summer House Stitchwork. And there are some really cute designs in this one. They're doing one for each season, and this is the summer sampler. And there were several in here that I thought would be really fun to make. Look at this. Isn't that cute? So that's new in the shop. I talked about Gigi, the artsy housewife. Her design style is so unique, and we've had her patterns for a couple months now. I don't think I showed them to you in the last one, but these are some of her newest ones. And I'm going to just be honest, when I saw this one, I thought, oh, that looks really 70s. And then I always write descriptions on our website. Does anybody read those? Because I sometimes have fun writing up those descriptions. But as I was describing it, the more I looked at it and described it, the more I thought, I want to make that. That is so fun. So the egg lady, what's not called? It's called Coffee and Eggs. But I just love the 70s vibe, I guess. I mean, they're so not my colors, but I just have to stitch that sometime. Frolicsome and Mirthful. Aren't these pretty? I mean, you could do them in black, but you could certainly do them in any color, but just the borders. And I also love the font that she used in there. A Study in Pink. It's a really pretty butterfly, if you like butterflies. Summer Solstice. Summer Solstice. Tulip House. Let All You Do Be Done in Love. Okay, this I would love to do this fall. Again, not really my colors, but it's the colors of fall, and I love fall. This is Golden Delicious. I really like that tree, how it's got branches flinging out all over the place, and I love the quilt. I think those are quilt. They look quilty, the quilt part of the quilt border. And then Pink Barn, this is also a really pretty one that would be pretty for fall. Pink Barn with a cow. This is another one. The colors on this. This is called Pear Hill, and I love how the branches are so big in the corners. Is that cool? Then we have some newer ones from Plum Street that I haven't talked about. So we have Summer Moon. She also has Winter Moon out. Christmas in July, and I can see doing this one. I mean, it's beautiful as a whole big piece, but can't you also see doing a top or a bottom as a drum? It'd be really pretty. This one I thought if I could find a ruler, like an antique ruler that was wide enough, actually I might have to go to a yardstick that's wider, that I could stitch this tiny over one and then have that be my finish, attach it to the yardstick or the ruler. That's my plan on that one. Freedom Pin Roll. And the fourth one from Plum Street is Mini Moon. I love the oversized rabbit jumping over the tiny little house. All right, and then I've showed you Annie B's pear patterns before. I made these 3 red work pairs, and then she came out with blue work pairs, and of course you could stitch these in any color you want. Now she has Anjou pairs. And that's a new market release, so pretty. You could have a whole fruit bowl of beautiful stitched pairs. We got some new, they're not new, they're reprints, I guess, from Blackbird. There were a bunch of them at the distributor the last time I ordered. So some of these are Anniversaries of the Heart that I haven't seen available before. But anyway, I've got those and brought those to show you. Oh, I love the checkerboard house. This is A Wish for You. This one is Elizabeth Jane. Very Christmas looking. Anniversaries of the Heart is like a maybe 12 series, a series of 12 that you can stitch all as one big piece and personalize and add your different family birth dates and initials and weddings and anniversaries. Or you can stitch each one individually and just stitch the ones you like. So this is Happy Birthday. If I could get all 12 at a time, I would certainly sell that as a set because I know that would be handy. Valentine Rose also has a fun house. I love the heart-shaped flower and the 2 birds sharing a heart at the top. Blackbird might be a fun piece for Halloween. That's not Anniversaries of the Heart. Back to anniversaries, I should have organized these. Farmhouse. And then Lydia R. Cohagen is a newer one from them. I don't think I've shown you that one before. I think it's newer. Could be a reprint also. Flowers for You. These are kind of the wacky flowers that they have on one of their patriotic pieces too that look fun to stitch. Just kind of vines going everywhere. I was glad to get this one back in time for Halloween, Away We Ride, which has the funnest Widgewodge house. And then Evergreen Lane. We have My Heart's Design. I keep wanting to call it My Heart's Desire, but it's My Heart's Design. And Swan Lake. Cats on Parade, also timely. Those drums are cute, aren't they? And Pumpkin Farm. I think this was the first Anniversaries of the Heart that I was really tempted by when I saw it. I just love that. And then, for a limited time only, I've been waiting for these to go back in stock for a year and a half. Every time I order, I try and order, because I know a lot of you have been waiting on these sets, but these sets of loose feathers 1 through 9 finally all came in at once. And I only have probably 6 of them left, because a lot of you were signed up to get notice of them when they went back in stock, which you can do on our website. So there's only 6 left, but if you love this, and I'm not going to open it up and show you all because we've gone long enough today, but I have all 9 of these, and I'm going to do them on my own on a big piece. And if you've been waiting for them or are tempted by them, oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. So right now we have 6. I added in, and I need to reorder again, Corinne LaPierre wool kits, and I first just put the ones in that had sewing accessories, so you can make a little sewing pouch and a, I don't know, I think there's a little pin cushion. I think there's 4 or 5 options for our needlework accessories. And then I had people asking if I would stock the rest of them, and they're so cute. And all the stuff that you need comes in there with the pattern. With these, I thought these would be fun retreat gifts to make for, or to make for your stitchy friends. Once you've made one, just get yourself some more felt or wool felt, which I like, and use the pattern again. And then I brought a couple more of these patterns from Satsuma Street that I showed you, that I did one. You can see all of the things come in there. If you have kids that want to learn to stitch, this might be a fun one to try with them, because perforated paper might be a little easier to work with when you're just starting out. Then I brought you a couple of patterns, my 2 favorite patterns from Primrose Cottage, and these are both on my list for fall: Honeycomb Quaker and Autumn Quaker. I think those are so pretty. And let's see what else. We have new stickers in the shop, but we had the Artsy Arthur Gal design for us. First of all is our tagline that I made up when I started the shop: creating works of heart, 1 stitch at a time. And again, these are vinyl coated, so you can put them on your tumbler, or you can put them in your calendars. And then this one, which is a commonly used phrase in our industry: my soul is fed with needle and thread. Love these stickers. And we got a restock of the calendar planner stickers too, which I know some of you have been waiting on. So, and then lastly, oh no, not lastly, almost lastly, because I also did add a bunch of Colorado stickers in. The mountains are calling and I must go. But I also added in Happy Camper stickers. So if you did cross stitch camp this summer, you might want a Happy Camper sticker for your tumbler or your calendar. And then lastly, I just wanted to show you a few of the new CM designs, those quilted designs that I got in. And this is the one that tempts me the most: sun-warmed glass, because I can just see you doing the outlines in all black and then doing fill-in. Oh, I think that's so pretty. My friend Cheryl is working on this one, and I can just tell you the colors are amazing. Then we have autumn leaves, so that would be a pretty one this time of year, wouldn't it? And autumn glass, which also has the stained glass look. This, if you have a beach house or you love the beach, this reminds me of Sand and Sea. And then she has some that are, let's see, well, I guess I only brought one. She has some that are like 4 panels, which you could do all as one, or you could do each one as a separate little pillow. Citrus glass, also really pretty autumn one. Azure glass, beautiful for winter time. And garden glass for the spring. So, those are just some new things in the shop. My new pattern, Sisterhood of the Needle, new patterns from a lot of people. Of course, we're getting tons of market patterns in. I didn't even want to go down that path and bring all of those in for this video, but a lot of you have ordered, and thank you so much for your pre-orders. We are shipping those out as soon as everything in your order comes in, and we're getting them. It's a little different than March Market, because at March Market we get all the patterns, we bring them all back at the same time for the most part. With this one, some designers did the virtual market, some didn't, so they're coming in at different times over a period of about probably a month. And so if you ordered several different designers, we may have your patterns in from 1 or 2 or 3 designers, but we're waiting on the 4th designer. And so just know we ship them as soon as we get them in. I mean, we stay late to do that because we know you want them as soon as possible. So thank you for your orders. If we're out of any of the market orders on our page, I've already reordered them, so we'll be getting them in. And we just so appreciate your support of our shop. We have fun with what we do. We love pulling orders and packing them up for you and sending them off. Most of the time we wish we could just sit down with you and say, okay, what are you doing? What are you going to do with that pattern? And what are you going to stitch next? And isn't that fun fabric? So it would be fun to shop with you in person more often. All right, that's all for today. I will be back hopefully the end of September. So in a month. I really try to do a month in between. That gives me enough time to get some stitching done to show you. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the thumbs up and the likes, and thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.